Hello everybody, welcome to Jack's History of the World, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about Yugoslavia. So that's kind of a confusing topic. Everybody's kind of like, hey, you know, I know some crazy stuff happened in Serbia in the 90s, and I think America bombed Serbia and all that great stuff, but today I'm going to tell you why that happened. Okay, so this is a map, an ethnic map of the Yugoslav Republic, or People's Republic of Yugoslavia in 1990. Now, I am no artiste, so I'm not going to draw the Balkans through the ages, so just have to imagine that a long time ago, Slavic groups immigrated into this area, the Balkan Peninsula, and displaced the local Illyrian and Dalmatian tribes. They formed Christian kingdoms in the early 900s and stuff like that. And they existed kind of on the periphery of the Byzantine Empire. Serbia especially was a vassal state of the Byzantines. So they interacted with the Byzantines, and from that, they became what religion? Orthodox. I'm so proud of you guys. Yes! So, the Slavs in the West, they're called the South Slavs. South Slavs are Orthodox, mainly the Serbs though. Up in the north, the Croats and the Slovenes, being closer to the whole Italy-Rome peace, they become Catholic. So an early source of dissension and combat among the South Slavs. Then we have, after the fall of Constantinople, we have the rise of the Ottoman Turks. The Ottoman Turks are not Orthodox, they are Sunni Muslim. And when they expand across, and we talked about they go to Vienna, as they rule this area, some of the local South Slavs convert to Islam, especially Bosniaks. And so that's a source of conflict between the Serbs and the Bosniaks especially, over how the Bosniaks converted to Islam, in the face of conquest. So the Serbs are, there's lots of ethnic unhappiness. So we'll get to that. So, eventually, however, the Ottoman Empire comes to an end, and a lot of their South Slavic territories are gobbled up by the Austro-Hungarian Empire. So Austria-Hungary takes over Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia, and then when they try to invade Serbia, a Serbian terrorist organization called the Black Hand oversees the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, which, gets the whole World War I thing going. And at the end of World War I, Austria-Hungary is dismembered and broken up and partitioned, so one of the states that is formed from that, okay, so this is kind of interesting. So when Austria-Hungary realized that they were going to lose World War I, they didn't want their country to be totally dismembered, so they went, the emperor met with one of the leaders of the Slavs, the South Slavs, and it was just like, we could do this thing, so in Austria-Hungary, Austria and Hungary were equal partners, kind of. So his offer to the Slavs to stay in Austria-Hungary would be to make a Slavonia, which would be a third equal partner in Austria-Hungary. But at this point, the Austro-Hungarian position had declined so significantly that the Slavonian representative to the emperor was, he said in German, "Es ist zu spät, Herr Majestat," which is German for "it's too late, Your Majesty," and he stood up and he left the room. And from that act of rebellion, the Kingdom of Yugoslavia is forged at the Treaty of Versailles, and so the Kingdom of Yugoslavia exists through the interwar period. It's dominated by the Serbian royal family out of Belgrade, but it rules over non-Serbs. So, if you're a Slovene or a Croat, you've gone from occupation by the Austrians, now you're being run by Serbs in a different foreign capital, so it's still not perfect. In World War II, Yugoslavia is annexed, part by the Italians, part by the Nazis. Not fun time. And then after World War II, however, there had been different groups in Yugoslavia had gone different ways, and the monarchy of Yugoslavia was abolished. And the people who won were communist partisans led by Josip Broz Tito, who had fought against some of the fascist, the Ustasha, and then right-wing militant groups like the Chetniks. So that is the Yugoslav Civil War, and then you have post-war Yugoslavia under Josip Broz Tito, which is a new period of the socialist Yugoslavia. But, And that kind of leads up to towards the end of the Cold War. And you know, I think I should bring on a guest host to talk about this. What do you think, Mr. Cameraman?
Go for it.
All right. Well, you know, there's a certain economics professor I know who's quite knowledgeable on Yugoslavia. So, take it away.
Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. I was just reading some Robinson Crusoe. So, we're talking about Yugoslavia today, huh? Well, as Jack, Mr. Voorhees knows, I do know quite a bit about this. So, you know, after Tito was actually a Croat, but the reason that he was such an efficient dictator is because he was just that, a dictator. He suppressed any nationalist movements through just brute force and through military strength. And that leads us to Josip Broz Tito's death in 1980. And that really spells the defeat and just the collapse of Yugoslavia. So as you see in this ethnic map, it's really bad. In this conflict, there is 8 republics. You have Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Serbia, Macedonia, Kosovo, and Montenegro, and Vojvodina. So in these 8 groups, in 1986, President Slobodan Milosevic becomes president of the Serbian branch of the League of Communists. The League of Communists, by the way, is the ruling party of all of Yugoslavia. Each of the 8 branches has the League of Communists as its main political entity. So after Slobodan Milosevic becomes president, he wants to really solidify power to Belgrade. This way, he uses his many Serbian supporters throughout Yugoslavia in an event in 1986 known as the Rallies of Truth. He displaces leaders in Vojvodina, Kosovo, and Montenegro, effectively making a voting bloc where 4 of the 8 voting members vote one way and the other 4 will vote another way. So these 4 that I talked about, the Serbian ones, Serbia, Vojvodina, Kosovo, Montenegro, they vote for a more centralized government, so less autonomy for the other groups. The other ones, Macedonia, Bosnia, Croatia, and Slovenia, they all want, you know, more autonomy. They want to be independent. But this doesn't really work out that way. There's several conflicts, you know, nothing too serious, but it all happens when a Serbian is killed in Bosnia and Herzegovina by a Bosniak Muslim, and this really starts some of the problems. At the same time, and about the 80s, late 80s, mid 90s, Slovenia and Croatia secede from Yugoslavia. This is a really big problem for Slobodan Milosevic, who by now is the president of all of Yugoslavia. He sends several divisions and tries to stop them. Slovenia is the first really problem for them. It's known as the 10-day war because it was only fought in 10 days. There was very limited casualties, but that was really the spark of the whole independence movements in all of Yugoslavia. Next, what would happen is way more bloodier and gruesome. In this country of Croatia, the borders of Croatia are not perfect with the ethnicity, much like every other part of Yugoslavia. There are pockets of Serbs, pockets of Serbs, pockets of Serbs. And the reason Slovenia broke away so easily and without as much fighting is because there weren't really many Serbs. Belgrade, the capital, really didn't care because there was such a minute percentage of the population was actually ethnic Serb. They were all ethnic Slovene or ethnic Croat. But Croatia has a very large 20% about population of Serbs. And they're all in pockets around the border between them and Bosnia. So of course there's fighting between the Croats and the Yugoslav army. This is going on for a little bit, and then the third country, Bosnia and Herzegovina, breaks away. And like we said before, they're Muslim, they're not Christian, so everybody doesn't like them. Nobody likes them. So the main problem they face is the country is not what? The country is not just perfect. It's 3 ethnicities all in this mess. And there's no clear defined borders. So this is where the real fighting starts. You have Bosniak Serbs who are trying to fight to rejoin Serbia, and you have Croats who are trying to join Croatia, and then you have Bosnians who are just trying to stay independent. This goes on for several years, war crime after war crime is committed, but eventually in 1999, after the United States bombed them, and NATO placed sanctions on them, most of this is cleared up. Also, Macedonia at this point secedes. This is the only country, by the way, to secede from Yugoslavia peacefully. Then several years after, Montenegro also secedes from Yugoslavia, but at this point it's Serbia and Montenegro. So they secede peacefully. At this point it's not a secession, it's more just a split. The last breakaway republic, we can call it, is Kosovo. They're not yet represented. They're not yet a sovereign nation. They don't have much international recognition. As you see, it's very close to Albania. Most of Kosovo are Kosovars, they're ethnic Albanians. The one reason that this is so important to Serbia, though, is this is basically their equivalent of, like, this is where their history happened in Kosovo. It's like if the United States lost the 13 original colonies. That's how important it is to them. And, you know, as time moved on, Serbs went more north, Serbs left this area of Kosovo, and the Albanians went in. So this is why it's so important. So, thank you for this crossover episode. Look forward to seeing you.